Good morning. For some reason my kettle is being a lot noisier than usual, but it seems to be working fine. I've got my Moka Pot here all ready to go. My balletti. I had dried this out completely and then put it back and opened it just now after not having used it for like 2 weeks. And it was a mess. I don't know what happened. I had sat it over here and dried it for like 3 days and then put it away. So I washed it out completely. I put boiling water in it. I then put it on the stove and allowed this to boil for a good 5 minutes. Drained everything out, cleaned it out again, and we seemed to be okay. It was very strange. I opened it up. It was not pretty. It was not great. So, as I said yesterday, we're going to do this. Camaria coffee from Yemen, and I wanted to do it in the Moka Pot. So here's what we're gonna do. They recommend, the shows that I've watched recommend 30, and I think I did 30 in here the last time, and it was a disaster. So I'm going to do about 27 grams of coffee, between 25 and 27. A little over, but that should be okay. I had filled it up too much at one point, and it didn't seal properly, which obviously completely my fault. But it didn't seal properly, and stuff started spilling out the sides, and that happened once, and I hope it never happens again. So, our nice, it's good. It smells like it's better than yesterday, to be honest. It's a nice thing with coffee. There's a certain point where it stops tasting good, but up to that point, there's a nice chance that it keeps getting more flavorful. What we're gonna do is, I'm gonna put this down to a 10, which I will probably regret because it'll probably sit here for about an hour grinding. And we're gonna get it down nice and fine, not quite to espresso, but as close as we can get. I've got a paper filter on the bottom here because we're gonna take out as much of the particulates as we can. It worked well the last time I did this. So, and I'm this close to buying a needle distribution tool, and I'll show you why here in just a second. That ground up really well at a 10. That's pretty great. But you can kind of see that I kind of smushed it a little bit, and I shouldn't have, but you can kind of see the boulders down in there. And what a needle distribution tool is it's basically an expensive coffee comb. It's circular. It has needles that are about this deep. Basically, if you have a filter for your espresso, you would take it after you've poured the coffee in there and you'd use it to get the boulders out, the larger clumps of coffee that have clumped up. You'd smooth them out and then you'd do your swoosh and tamp and whatnot. So, and lately, the finer you get, the more likely you're going to get boulders, and that's not a fault of the coffee, that's just how it works. So, I think I'm going to try to get one of those. See, there's a couple, look, see there at the top, there's a couple boulders right there that I could, I'm gonna go grab a fork though. We can get a fork and do it just as well, I guess, but they have these ones that hang from magnets. They like are on your counter and they dangle. They don't swing, but they dangle off of this thing. And I'm like, well, that's really cool. And they're not all that expensive. They're just a very funny, weird little tool. So we'll kind of just rake this out a little bit. We will just make sure everything's even. There we go. No need to tamp. It is right there. And I'm gonna wait. Yeah, just almost to boiling. And we're gonna put the water in here. Yeah, boy, I opened this thing up and I'm like, oh, that's, and it's just so funny because I'm very diligent when I'm cleaning out all of my coffee stuff. I try, everything stays dry, but then again, I didn't have this for a while, but it's not like I put anything moist anywhere near anything else, you know? It was just very strange. So we're gonna drop this in here. Just enough water. Nothing came out. Perfect. Make sure that's nice and center. All right. Don't really need the scale right now. Don't even need the timer. We really didn't even need to weigh it. I mean, as long as you get to a certain point where you can eyeball, and this isn't completely full, because I know where the Belletti logo goes in association with the relief valve here. I like to put the relief valve out and then tighten it as tight as I can. And you want a towel here because this is aluminum, and aluminum is soaking up every little bit of heat that you just put in there. So if you touch that, that's near boiling. Maybe a little less now because it went into a colder vessel, but it's still, you know, you still want to be careful. Looks can be deceiving. This bottom of this is so incredibly hot right now. So what we're going to do is I am going to start this up on my burner in the back here. I'm going to get her as square as I can. This is a 6-cup Moka Pot. And it's not 6 cups of regular coffee. It's 6 cups of smaller Italian-sized coffee. I guess I don't want to say espresso-sized coffee, although I guess that's pretty much what it is. This kind of coffee is really good if you mix it with milk, or if you take water at the same heat and dilute it a little bit for an Americano. That's what this is really good for. Or if you like really strong coffee, this is your jam. This Moka Pot is your jam, I would say. So, and these are available at Target. They're available at Meijer. I thought I saw some at Meijer, but I think the Belletti branded ones from Italy are available in Target, because that's where I got this one. And then if you have a coffee place that you go to, if they're selling coffee, most of the time they're also selling coffee components, you know, how to make your coffee, the grinders and such, and they might have the Moka Express, which is what this is, 6 cup or less or more, you know, depending on what you want. And that's, you know. So now we sit and we wait. Since we've got hot water in there already, it should take less time for it to start pushing its way up through that little pipe up into the coffee, and then up and through and out the spout up here. And it might be just a little bit longer because there's the added pressure of that filter that I put at the bottom of the pot itself. So, and this is a really fun experience for me. I like watching this kind of reverse percolation, basically. It's like a combination. It's like a combination of percolation and pour over, because it's going through the coffee, but it's just going through the coffee at a slower rate. So, but it's still kind of percolating out of the top, because if you think about it too long, the magic kind of goes away. So I try not to think about it too long. So while we're waiting, I want, even though my brother doesn't watch this, which, you know, he doesn't really have time. He's got 3 kids and a job, and I can't, you know, fault him for not watching. It's fine. It's fine. No, seriously, it's fine. But I wanted to give him a shout out because he was right. Not that he's never right. He's right about quite a few things. But in this case, it was something that involved me. I got another text message yesterday from my old job. And for those who don't know, and there are 138 people now subscribed to this channel, and I thank you so much, every single one of you. The people that stop by, I thank you as well. I never tell you to like and subscribe. I'm not in it for the. I'm certainly not being able to monetize this stuff, so, you know, stop by and wave and leave, you know, that's fine. But I do appreciate the watches and people stopping by. Hopefully you get something out of it. Hopefully it's entertaining. I don't know. I'm just glad to be able to do this. But I started this back in February, and the reason I started doing these was because, okay, and we're starting to boil here, which is really good. The reason I started these is because I lost my job. I was let go. I was... myself and several other people, wow, ooh, that's dark. That's darker than I would have thought it would be, were laid off from my former employment. Myself and several other people in several other areas, because the market was doing a downturn thingy, and the knee jerk was to, hey, let's let go these people we don't think matter that much. These people can do their job with fewer people, just give them harder work and lay people off. That's the thing. And I was laid off in January. So I started this as a way of coping. I like video editing. I like coffee. I'm a big fan of both of those things. So I'm like, how can I keep my head in this? And I am just done with corporates. I just am. It's been 20 plus years of corporate garbage where they bait and switch you right at the end. So we're very fortunate in that we can be a one income family, at least at the moment and for the foreseeable future. Could change. I don't see it happening, but it could. That waffle out of the way. I started this to cope. I'm like, how do I live? How do I live? It's we're sputtering, so I think we're done. Wow, that's a lot of water that came out of there. That's pretty impressive. What I'm going to do is, though, I'm going to get the water out of it. Because something that I read, you don't want the coffee in this hot pot to stay there for a while. You want it to kind of want to get it out. That's a good decent chunk of water there. I think they said this holds 280 grams of water. Sorry for the quick move around here. Up to that line. Let's see how much we got out here. So around 260, 280 grams of water. They said with these kind of coffees, if you're fortunate, you get around 200 out because you never get as much as you put in. Just because of absorption and steam, that kind of a thing, and stuff that's left at the bottom, because there's still a little bit left down there at the bottom. It can't all get up through that tube. There has to be some at the bottom. So let's see how much we've got here. 236 grams of coffee right there. That's out of that Moka Pot, out of that 6 cup. That's pretty fantastic. I'm pretty happy with that. So we'll let this cool down a little bit. So, I started doing this because I was lost and upset and angry, very, 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 very angry. Because, 5.5 years at a job, and you're doing well, and they keep telling you when they talk to you, and that's a whole nother thing, that you're doing well, you think this is great, and, you're fine. Apparently this knee-jerk reaction that they had, that everybody needed to be let go, was a bad one, because in March, 2 months later, I got a text message saying, hey, we made a mistake. We should not have let you go. And what had happened was they had let go of the people that were in my department, except for 2 people and the manager. And between the 2 people and the manager, they couldn't do what I did plus their job. I got a text message, and I'm like, well, I'll come in and I'll talk. That's fine. Because, I was apprehensive. I don't like talking myself up. This is a position I didn't like to be in, because this wasn't a job interview. This is now a negotiation. They want me back. Where are you going to put me? Where are you going to put me in the grand scheme of my past salary? And I asked for an amount that was not more or too much more than what I had made. And I said, if you want to get me to consider this, this is the number. If you want me to come in tomorrow, here's the number. So, and they didn't balk at it. They didn't look at me like I was funny. They didn't say, are you nuts? They said, okay, we will go back and we will consider that. So they did. And then the next day I got a phone call, and they gave me a figure that amounted to a raise compared to what I had made last year, and then said, hey, you can count your yearly bonus that you're not guaranteed, and even if you do get it, you're not guaranteed 100% of it. And as it stood, I think I only got 7% of that bonus, and then that bonus is not only taxed to hell and back, but it's also a portion of it is put in the 401k that I really don't like. But that's just how they do it. So I said, no, thank you. 2 hours after that phone conversation, I got a call back saying, hey, we can meet you to near where you want to be and not do the bonus thing. And I'm like, you've already put me through hell over the weekend. I can't. I won't. Thank you. No. Yesterday, I got a text message saying, hey, your old job is still open. Are you looking? And I'm like, and that was it. That was a text message. There was no, hey, we know what you wanted salary-wise. This is what we can do. The other things that you had asked for, we can consider it. But there was nothing about the salary that I asked for, because there was no him-hawing about that. That's just like, this is what I want. This is it. Give me this, and I will talk, and I will definitely think very hard about it. And there was nothing like that. It was just like, hey, you were our first choice to come back. Now we can't find anybody to do this for the amount of money we want to pay them. Why don't you thinking about, could you come back? And it's like, I can't process this. So yesterday was a miserable day. It got better, but yesterday was just miserable. It's just like this never-ending repeat, I think this will be the last time, though. I kind of had an inkling that they may try one more time, especially, they're not going to find, it's two months later after I said no. It's 2 months later, a little bit more, and they can't find anybody. And that's very frightening. I was an easy sell. And, like I said, I don't like talking myself up. I really don't. I hate bragging. I can't stand it. But they are never going to find someone with my patience, with my work ethic, my willingness to get beaten up a little bit, my willingness to learn new things, especially at the price that they want to pay them. That's just the way it is. We've hit a turning point, and people don't want to work for those who just regard them as something they can discard later. They don't want throwaway jobs anymore. These places are revolving doors now because they won't pay people enough money to stay. And then they fire the people that are around them, or they lay off the people that are around them, and then they expect everyone else to pick up all of that slack, all of that job. And it just reminds me of this one time. We had this luncheon, and they do awards at this luncheon. And one of the award recipients, the supervisor, thought that this was the greatest thing ever, and I just sat there in horror. They had laid off. No, it wasn't even a layoff. 2 people left their positions in that department. So one individual had to. It wasn't offered to them. It doesn't say, hey, you want to take this over. All of it was handed to them. And they took it on, and they did it. So at this meeting, or at this luncheon, the award was given to this person because they were doing the work of 3 people. Not only were they doing the work of 3 people, but the manager said, we have no intention of hiring anyone because this person is doing such a wonderful job doing the job of 3 people. Now, if you sit and think about it, with the culture that I've described every once in a while coming out of that business, do you think that they compensated that person in any way monetarily for doing twice the work? The work of 3 people? No, absolutely not. I can only speculate. I can speculate with a high percentage of reliability, especially with the way they treat their people. We were commodities. We were things that could be removed at any time if the board needed their bonuses and the market was on a downturn. If the CEOs didn't want to lose their bonuses and the market was on a downturn, we were gone. And then they turn around and they're like, hey, we made a mistake. And I'm like, yeah, you did. And you can either pay for it or not learn anything from it. And good luck to you. And they chose not to learn anything about it, and good luck to you. So that was the antithesis of this, of morning coffee therapy. And it's evolved. And I think it's wonderful. I think it's wonderful that it's evolved, because you don't always want to wallow in your misery. You want to develop a hobby to take your mind off of it. And then when that terrible event raises its head again, which, sometimes it will, you have something to bounce it off of. And that's the joy of this, is being able to bounce stuff off of things. So I think this is cool enough. And I know you've noticed I put another cup out here. I thought I would do it in the traditional style of a wee little cup. So it takes on an almost amaretto smell. It's very interesting. Kind of almondy when passed through the Moka Pot here. Very, very strange. Let's see what we got. Ooh, that's very tangy. And it is an explosion of coffee flavor, just like these always are when passed through a Moka Pot. It's just funny because this one smells so different from all the other ones that I've passed through this pot. It just smells like an almond amaretto hit of scent, and you get that in the taste too. But then you get this overwhelming yow of, hey, there's a lot of coffee being presented to you here. But I think this is the first coffee I've pulled out of this Moka Pot that I want to just drink like this. I wanted to add cream or milk or add a little bit more water to it, but I'm really surprised, and I really like this. I'll have to try this with the fermented coffee I bought from Puerto Rico. I wonder how that will taste. But this is really nice. I mean, I could see adding some cream to this to bring out maybe the nutty flavor. I did not expect that, because it's such a mellow, balanced scent when it's in bean form, but passed through this Moka Pot and made a little bit stronger. It's just very amaretto-y. I like that. And then look here, because I put that filter down there, there are no particulates at the bottom. Clink, sorry. Well, so that happened yesterday, midday. I mean, I know that they don't realize, and it's hard to use the word trauma, because there's so many different levels of trauma. There's so many different levels of, post-traumatic stress disorder. And, for me to say that is what this is, feels like it takes away from people that have been through legitimate circumstances, who are incredibly fearful of what's around the corner, and rightfully so. And, it's just every day, after that day in March where I just got this random text message, we made a mistake, and it's like, is that going to happen again? And it did. It happened again. They didn't say that with those exact words. She just sent me a 4-line text message basically saying, hey, we've not hired anybody. We've not been able to get a hold of anybody. Are you looking for a job? Do you want your job back? Nothing else. The time that we had spent working together just didn't seem to matter, because that was all that was put forth. She could have made a phone call. She didn't. She could have written me an email. She didn't. She sent me 4 lines of a text message, and that was it. Oh, well, I think that's finally done. But yeah, shout out to my brother. You were right. One last hurrah. Anyhow, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed this as much as I did. The surprise is mine because, like I said, just such a lovely smell. And the taste is extraordinary. This definitely just brings out some natural flavors for this coffee. I'm very surprised and very happy. So we'll do this again tomorrow. Maybe I'll have enough left of the one. I'll do it in the Moka Pot. We'll see how that goes. I still haven't done that through the Chemex yet. Maybe we'll play it by ear. Thank you all so much for watching. Really appreciate you stopping by, and we'll talk to you later. Bye.